Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're doing very well. Now, little arrival turned up today. I knew what it was. It wasn't a mystery package. It was a box set of Blu-rays. Blu-rays of some vintage sci-fi horror movies. Oh yes, the best kind, of course. Retro sci-fi slash horror and thrillers, and here it is now from Eureka, masters of cinema and home video and all that kind of gubbins. They've done many of these sort of little box sets. Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, and I've covered a lot of them in the past, and this one I've been really looking forward to. Even though I pre-ordered it, it arrived a day later than release day. Harumph! But it's here now. Glorious cover art. What's it called, Kilt-Man? It's called Three Monster Tales of Sci-Fi Terror. Yeah, that really tripped off the tongue, didn't it? And, you know, the kind of giveaway, despite that gloriously sort of, you know, completely OTT, exploitational sort of cover art there, it's only a PG. Oh, come on. They're from the 1950s. Well, one's from 1941, and then the other two are from 1957 and 1958. And they are great movies. And the point about this particular box set is that they're kind of, well, genre fans and aficionados and critics always like to cite this particular trio of movies, which are not connected, by the way, as sort of unsung and underrated and neglected. To be perfectly honest, I've never neglected these. I've loved these movies since I was a kid, and I did see all of these from an early age. Although the great thing about this box set is that I haven't seen any of them for quite some time, so I'm really looking forward to, you know, getting involved in these and rediscovering them with a view to covering each particular movie with its own special video. So not like an overarching video which I just cover them all, which would be easier but far less fun. So what's in these movies? Now this is a limited edition, but Eureka, what they tend to do, the first run of these, you get like a booklet in there of essays and what have you. All I've done is take the cellophane off this so far, so I haven't even seen inside. I don't think there's any posters or lobby cards. But anyway, the films in question. I'm not reviewing any of these films right now. I'm not, folks. I'm just letting you know that these are coming up. So you're going to get these retro reviews. And the films in question are Man-Made Monster from 1941, starring Lon Chaney Jr. as basically Electro Man. He's a sideshow sort of freak, but he survives a big crash where everyone else is electrocuted, and the mad scientist Lionel Atwill, the great Lionel Atwill, in a white lamp gown and, you know, those googly sort of goggles, will pump him full of more electrolysis and make him this fuzzy John P. Fulton special effects make Lon Chaney glow, and if he touches someone, they're electrocuted. Lionel Atwill wants to create a race of these sort of minions, these slave warriors. There's a hell of a lot to go into with that movie, but the most exciting thing about it is it is a good film in its own right, but it first pairs director George Wagner with Lon Chaney Jr. The very same year, these two guys would go on to make The Wolfman. No further introductions necessary. You know it's one of my favourite movies of all time. Long championed it and long gone on about it on the channel. But without this particular film, Man-Made Monster, which is not any near the calibre of The Wolfman, but these two and the success of this movie, you would not have got The Wolfman. I'm pretty certain that wouldn't have worked out. So, you know, we've got a lot to thank Man-Made Monster for. And it is good in its own hokey right. And it's got a few themes running in there, which are quite clever. the class system and a very elitist, snobbish system, which, you know, we can use the underdog because they don't really matter. You know, us, the upper class, the brains, can use these to wage our wars and do everything for us. And that's kind of what it's about, and it's kind of clever as well. So that's Man-Made Monster from 1941, directed by George Wagner. And then the next one you've got is a great favourite of mine, the Monolith Monsters. Yeah. Do you know it? You know it? Yeah. You lot, you know. Well, listen up. He knows it. The Monolith Monsters is it's one of the weirdest invasion movies of the 50s. The 50s were always rife with aliens invading, you know, the Thing from Another World, It Came from Outer Space, War of the Worlds, all of this stuff was being made in the 50s. But this is an unusual one because these Invasion of Body Snatchers, that's another one I forgot to mention there, but these aliens, well, they're not aliens, it's a meteorite lands in the desert canyons of outside this Californian town, and these black onyx-like sort of shards of kryptonite grow because, you know, water reacts with them, and wow, they grow and they multiply. Then our natural earth environment just feeds them. However, these great big huge ominous, spectacularly surreal and weird stalactites, you know, these things just grow, these huge crystal like shapes, but they're huge pillars of this ebony like sort of mineral. If humans touch them, they become petrified. Literally petrified. They turn to stone. You've even got a young girl in there who slowly begins to become petrified, and it's, you know, it's kind of dark stuff, but it's such an unusual monster because it's just the natural sort of the world. It's one of the genre's first eco message movies without even realizing it was being an eco message, an eco warning. The 70s would be rife with that. So a couple of decades later, you'd have frogs, you'd have alligator, you'd have wolf, and you'd have all sorts of movies about the ecology, prophecy, fighting back, Jaws as well, nature fighting back against man. But this is like an alien invasion from a meteorite, which just happens to spark off, you know, an environment where we are being threatened, and these monoliths are getting bigger, they're multiplying, and they're getting closer to, you know, towns and cities, and it would spark the end of the earth and mankind as we know it. And it's great because it's so bloody unusual. These crystalline structures are so spectacularly surreal. It's wonderful stuff. Like, it's almost like it's the dark side of Clark Kent finding that shard and then going off to, you know, the North Pole and hailing it off and creating the Fortress of Solitude. It's the exact antithesis of that. It's the complete polar opposite. It's black, it's dark, and it's evil. It's a wonderful movie. I do like it a lot. And the third one is a film which it's the hokiest of the three, I suppose. And it's all set in motion by what's his name, Michael Landon in I Was a Teenage Werewolf. It's all inspired by that, and the burgeoning sort of teen delinquency and teen rebellious movies. And it's called Monster on the Campus. Yeah, some of you will know this movie, and I haven't seen it I have not seen that particular one for a good few years, but I do love it to bits. And it is sort of a Jekyll and Hyde, a Wolfman style. It also, in many ways, appears to be sort of a basis for Ken Russell's Altered States with William Hurt, the great Altered States. Because what it is, it's all set on like a whatever the campus university is called. It might say in the back of the box. Let's have a look. Dunsfield University, and you've got this scientist, this very staid, set in his ways, very old school scientist, who he gets to live at like a fossilized coelacanth, and when it interacts with him and his blood, he reverts to a caveman, a prehistoric man, who, armed as well, will go out on the rampage and he'll kill various students. He kind of targets women, but so there's sexual depravity there. There's a primal edge. There's a man who is, he's the authority figure, but he's set in his ways and doesn't see the future coming. And the kids, because at this time kids were always meant to be the villains. Rebelliousness of the youth and delinquency was rife in movies, epitomised by I Was a Teenage Werewolf, and then the offshoot to that, I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, and many other movies. But this one kind of took that idea, but reversed it. Like the main character regresses, it regresses that idea. It's not the kids who are the monsters, it's actually the guy who's one of the main faculty heads of the university, and he's the monster. But it's great, and it's Jack Arnold who directed that. Jack Arnold for the Tarantula, Incredible Shrinking Man, and many excuse me, Atomic Age creature features, and he's wonderful. Actually, he was the prime mover and shaker behind the Monolith Monsters too, but he didn't direct it though. But he was involved in the whole thing. But I think contractual obligations, he had to go and do something else, so he couldn't actually direct the film. But this is a great little slew of movies. Now, they're all Blu-rays, as I say. Lovely packaging there, lovely. So, I've not watched any of these as yet, so I can't comment on the transfer. Although I have heard that this is the best they've ever looked. I would expect nothing less from Eureka, who I think are outstanding in their restorations. So, there's the actual box itself. How many discs do we have? 1, 2. So, Monster on the Canvas has 1 disc. And you've got Man-Made Monster and the Monolith Monsters on 1 disc as well. And you have, well, luckily enough, I did get the, because if you buy it later on, say it's limited, but it will get released later on, but without that, the booklet. There's a great big booklet here. Let's have a look at this. There's Lon Chaney Jr. This is a slew of vintage sci-fi and horror soundtracks all strung together. Let's have a look at this. So you've got all the credits. Sorry, I'm looking through this. And some artwork and imagery. Some nice imagery. You can see that. Screaming Gale. Oh no! After the campus. And there's a nice little bit of artwork from the Monster on the Campus as well. This hairy guy. It's not the greatest makeup. It's just a mask. Universal was. Sorry, I should have said these are all Universal movies. So they are marking the tail end of a Universal decades-long run of horror and sci-fi majesty, but the makeup for Monster on the Campus is pretty poor. It's just a mask with a lot of hair, but it doesn't matter. It's still he's still frightening. That's the main thing. So you've got this essay written by Craig Ian Mann. I've heard his name before. I'm not sure what else he's done. Probably other booklets, and he's obviously going to go through all the. There's more poster imagery. Some stills from the movies. Sorry, the ring lights playing It's All Havoc. There's what's that? That's a foreign French. That's a French poster for Monolith Monsters. Can you see all these crystals of these things? They don't look like that. They're kind of like they're black. They're very dark things. It's just what I think. It's just one. The one guy's written the essay. I don't know if you can hear that now, but there's a rainstorm has just descended. And the second I said that, it's kind of receded. No, it's come back again. Damn you, weather! Confounding me. Oh, there's the poster for I Was a Teenage Werewolf, which is clearly the impetus for Monster on the Campus. There's also a Werewolf in a Girls' Dormitory, an Italian movie, which actually that's really good, and it's a bit depraved as well, in the same sort of era. So yeah, there's a lot of one guy. The book is one essay by one guy, very often you get like several little snippets, little essays from different critics. There you go. On the inside of the Blu-ray packaging, so on the outside you've got Man-Made Monster, Lon Chaney. On the inside you've got Monolith Monsters and Monster on the Campus. I'll be honest, I think I'm going to change it round to that. I know it's all red, but it seems a bit too obvious to use Man-Made Monster, so I'm going to swap that round, and I'm going to put those two guys to have their shot in the limelight. Right, trying to get that in there, trying to slot that in. Oh, that did not work out too well at all. Note to self: don't start swapping inlay cards live on camera. Oh, there you go. Oh no, I've squashed the corner up on it as well. Look at that. You know, I don't know why I do these things. Can't help yourself. But there you go. Okay, there's the outside of it now. Monster on the Campus on one side, Monolith Monsters on the other. Yeah, well, I like that. And now, the other extra features that they've got on this. Right. Man-Made Monster, you've got a brand new commentary with author Stephen Jones and author critic Kim Newman. Yes, these are one of the reasons why it's so well worth getting these reissues, these re-releases, when they do a restoration. You go, well, I've already got it, I've got the movie. The extra features make it worthwhile. The restoration is one thing, but to hear people like Kim Newman, Stephen Jones, waxing lyrical about a film that you love, it's nectar from heaven, as far as I'm concerned. Monolith Monsters, brand new commentary with Kevin Lyons and Jonathan Rigby, who wrote that book there. Studies in Terror. Jonathan Rigby, who's done commentaries and written many books on the genre, and is a noted luminary when it comes to all this sort of stuff. So that'll be great as well. Includes 2 presentations of Monster on the Campus. Oh, it's different aspects. A 133 aspect and a 2.1 aspect. Have to see which one is the one that's meant to be correct. You've got stills galleries for each film featuring a selection of rare archival stills and ephemera, plus a limited edition collector's booklet, which you've just seen. This is on Lon's on the front, and Lon's on the back as well. Glowing there. Oh, I should have said, sorry, there's also a... Hang on. There's a commentary on all 3 films. Man-Made Monster has Stephen Jones and Kim Newman. Monolith has Kevin Lyons, Jonathan Rigby. Monster on the Campus, Stephen Jones and Kim Newman again. So Stephen Jones and Kim Newman do 2 commentaries. So that should be great. So I can't wait, folks. Genuinely can't wait. And lovely, packaging, lovely artwork. I just love Eureka and what they do, what they come up with for these. And I love Universal. I also love Columbia and RKO. I mean, the Val Lewton movies, oh my god, and I could go on about all these films forever and a day. And you know what? That's going to happen because I'm going to review each of these movies from this set in their own little individual and possibly gargantuan videos. You know what I'm like. So, can you hear that? Can you hear that? I do hope there's no meteorites coming down in all of this. Anyway, folks, so that's what's up and coming. And a lot more besides. So, what's it called again? 3 Monster Tales of Sci-Fi Terror. I really don't like that title. I'm also not sure what else they could come up with. A trio of terrifying monster No! 3 monster tales of sci-fi terror. It just doesn't seem to work for me. I'm struggling with it now. I mean, all I can see, if you look at that, all you see is the word monster, and then in little lettering, you're trying to work out what kind of monster? How many monsters? 3. Dear God, it's a washout. Don't worry, I've got this. Anyway, folks, there you go. They're up and coming. So please, in the meantime, and this ever drenching in between time, it's going off. You can hear it, it's tailing off. And you'll hear the dripping from all the different gutters, from the different rafters and roofs on Kilt-Mansion. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the moaning of all the peasants living out there in their clay and wattle hovels. You know, Master Kilt-Man, please, can you just some more supplies, some more covering for our hovels? No! You want hovels? You build better hovels, for God's sake. So yeah, they're up and coming, and I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna see you all later, because vintage sci-fi and horror is where it's really at. This is where they broke the mold. This is where they created new genres. They came up with all the ideas, like literally sort of, you know, persecution, alienation, science gone awry, indoctrination and invasion by communists. All the themes that we've dealt with in many, many genres, they cut their teeth in sci-fi and horror. And the vintage movies really, really brought that to the fore. And they're all well worth revisiting. And this looks like a lavish box set. I cannot wait to get my teeth into it. So, without further ado, I'm going to go and watch one of them right now. Monsters. You know, I'd love to say I was a teenage Kilt-Man, but I wasn't. I didn't wear a kilt in those days. My God, I wish I had. I would be in Hollywood by now. I'm sure of it. Sure of it.